entire village. It's just 10 RMB per person, but you have to wait for the entire boat to fill up. Or you can rent the entire boat for 80 RMB. If you're lucky, the woman who navigates might also sing some local tunes. Of course, the best way to experience the water village is a boat ride here through the narrow waters. Here you'll get a view of the people walking along the bridges, and especially in the drizzle, you'll feel the serenity of the entire environment. And of course, combined with the sound of the most traditional singing. My favorite sight in Zhouzhuang is watching the drizzle on a breezy day. And chances are that you will just get a rainy day during your stay, as it comes and goes at any time in Jiangnan. So always be sure to pack an umbrella. On days like this, the glistening stone pavements, black tiled roofs, and slightly perturbed water surface paint a particularly artistic picture. To warm up inside, why not go to a tea house and sip some hot tea, listen to some Suzhou folk music, and watch the boats pass by along the water. For some people, sitting by the water may sound like a waste of time, but in Zhouzhuang, nothing is more enjoyable. You can relax and watch the local people going about their daily business like they did hundreds of years ago. Most of the residential houses in Zhouzhuang were built during the Ming or Qing dynasties. Shanting residence was built in 1742 by the descendant of the first millionaire of the Jiangnan region, Shen Wansan. This mansion is more than 2,000 square meters and serves as an extraordinary example of how the rich lived in feudal China. There are more than 100 rooms, and each item in the room is made with particular attention to detail. This place look familiar at all? Well, Shanting has been used as the set for several Chinese movies. This is a pretty interesting view from upstairs. Just like back in the old days when girls would stand up here and get a little peek at the men who would come and try to court them. They weren't allowed to come face to face with these men, but they could get a little look through the corner of their eye. Pretty interesting. Wow. Check out this enormous kitchen. Here you have the cutting boards and the stoves, the utensils and pots and pans of all different sizes. And it was even back in the day that people put such great importance on food and cuisine. And the food of this family actually affected the cuisine of the entire area. If you go around now to the different restaurants or, some of the shops, you can find still the Wansan family feast and maybe get a taste of food back in the ages. Along this cultural street, a lot of things that you'll find are crafts, but in particular, it's these handmade crafts that appeal the most. And for instance, see this woman over here? She's making cloth and using this spinning wheel to make the items in her store. Let's take a look inside here. Next step is actually weaving it, see? It's hard to imagine that everything here is made by this process. And back over here is a store with shirts and bags and children's clothing. You can see all sorts of that. Look at that. It's the local style. And although most people don't wear this anymore, some people still do, the elderly and maybe traditionals. 老板，能看一下这件吗？好的，可以的。Okay. So you don't see many people on the streets with this, but I don't know. Maybe it does sort of would look good on me. Not quite sure about the taste. What do you think? Huh? The long cultural street is named Zhenfeng Street, and it displays the lifestyles of the people of Jiangnan. Stores have been preserved from centuries ago, with craftsmen working in the traditional ways, to give visitors a better sense of what life in the water town was really like. Not only can you see it with your eyes, but you can also purchase these handmade goods and bring out a little bit of Jiangnan in your house. But don't forget to bargain. Did you buy anything?
Well, there's lots of things by my feet and everybody carrying things.
But
so
many things. Let's see.
Here, okay.
Let's see what we got.
Are they all?
Oh, we got the little. I love the little shoes. I have a shoe collection. I have.
This is the cloth.
The cloth.
The very typical cloth.
Silk scarves. Oh, I like this. This is my favorite. They actually have my size here.
What is this?
This is of the
town with the boat.
It can be said that the spirit of the town is buried in the water. It's these water paths that form the bloodline of the city, and you can sense the strong water culture that affects every aspect of people's lives. Whereas we have streets and roads, Zhouzhuang's streams are the main means of transportation. Jiangnan's weather is mild all year round, so it's a good tourist destination anytime. However, you have to dress warmly in the winter. Although the temperature is not low, the dampness makes the air feel chillier than it actually is.
It's a really beautiful village and you should definitely go.
Yeah, you have never seen anything like it.
A trip through Zhouzhuang actually only takes one day. However, I highly recommend that you stay here overnight because come nighttime, you get a completely different face of the entire water village, lit up by lanterns and glistening waters. It's something you definitely have to experience. And luckily, there's one very unique inn. It's over there. It's right alongside the water and you get a perfect view of that. So let's go check out this fabulous place.
The waterside inns all preserve the typical Jiangnan style.
您好，那个能看一下房间吗？好，谢谢。These are very old steps here, and you can see this room is quite dim, so you have to be very careful when climbing up. Wow. This is a pretty homey room here. And back many years ago, this just was a typical residence. And afterwards, many tourists and visitors were allowed to stay here in this home. And even today, you see the bedding all the way to the curtains and to the chairs even. It's very traditional local flavor, just of the water villages south of the Yangtze River. But the main reason why I chose this room was the view from the window. And I think I can get a view of the water.
To see Zhouzhuang's culture, you can catch the nighttime performance, Zhouzhuang's Four Seasons. This performance uses the natural landscape as the background for the show, and it depicts the traditional lifestyle of the people. The performance is divided into 3 parts. First, the water culture of Zhouzhuang, and includes fishing, singing, and the women who navigate the boats. The second part focuses on the 4 seasons, and the third on local culture. The 1.5-hour show is on every night at 8 p.m., and tickets are around 140 RMB per person. Now that we've satisfied our eyes, it's time to satisfy our stomachs. If you have half a day, head to Yangchenghu. From Kunshan, there's a direct bus line that takes only 20 minutes. There, you can enjoy some of the most famous hairy crab. During the fall months, hordes of people will gather here to enjoy this delicacy. And the crabs are generally priced high, from at least 60 to over 100 RMB per crab, depending on size. And speaking of size, the crabs here are as big as 250 to 300 grams. And they're expensive because the water quality is excellent and the crab meat is very tender.
真的好吃，真的好吃。比较有名吧。是比较新鲜的，一分价钱一分货。
Although crabs are expensive, people don't hesitate to come here for a weekend retreat. The over 400 restaurants are all packed, so it's advised that you reserve 2 weeks in advance.
Come nighttime, the lights light up and people rush on over from far and wide for one thing, and that is to enjoy the local, very delicious crab. It's part of the culture here of Kunshan, just like the natural landscape and the local peoples. But there's only so much I can tell you, so you really have to come and experience it yourself. I'm Yin, and see you next time on Travelogue.